Hello and welcome to our new series of minisodes with author and police advisor Graham Bartlett. Graham is a best-selling author and crime and police procedural advisor to fiction and TV writers. He was a police officer for 30 years and mainly policed the city of Brighton and Hove, rising to become a chief superintendent and its police commander. Graham started writing when he left the police in 2013 and, almost by accident, became a police procedural and crime advisor, helping scores of authors and TV writers, including Peter James, Mark Billingham, Ellie Griffiths, Anthony Horowitz, Ruth Ware, Claire McGowan and Dorothy Coomson, achieve authenticity in their drama. He also runs online crime writing workshops and courses with the Professional Writing Academy and delivers inputs to master's programmes at the University of Cambridge and the University of East Anglia, as well as at the Crime Writing Certificate programme at West Dean College. He lives in Sussex with his wife Julie and, variously, his 24-year-old triplets. His debut crime novel, Bad for Good, is out now, and not only is it a fantastic, gritty novel, it's also an absolute must-read for anyone looking to write in the police procedural genre.
That's absolutely right. And each episode of our minisodes will be around 10 minutes long, and we'll focus on how crime authors can ensure authenticity when writing about the police. So without further ado, please welcome the fabulous Graham Bartlett.
Hello Graham and welcome to our third minisode, which today is all about bending the rules. So let's start with our first question. Are there ever times when it's considered okay or even necessary to bend the rules in crime fiction by portraying something that wouldn't actually happen in real policing, or which wouldn't quite happen in the same way?
Yes, 100%, and that is exactly what crime fiction is there for. You know, it's not about writing textbooks, so it's not about writing a kind of a roadmap of a murder investigation. So, you know, there are, at the end of the day, the story and the characters are paramount. So you need your story to keep the reader turning the page. You need your characters to sit in your readers' hearts. So you've got to have some kind of latitude really around the procedure. And you know, it's all about sort of knowing what the parameters can be. I mean, I kind of work on a principle of is the answer would it happen, or is the answer could it, or is the question would it happen, or is the question could it happen? And if it couldn't happen, then we have to I think very seriously about around things. If it could happen, but wouldn't necessarily happen all the time, then there's some real opportunity there. I have got one quite high profile author, I won't name him, who he deliberately says to me, could this happen? And he'll give me a scenario, and I go, yeah, well, it could happen. You go, right, no, that's fine. I go, no. I need to tell you the what you need to kind of put around it to make sure it could happen. I mean, we talked in an earlier episode about inspectors interviewing people. Now that's something that wouldn't happen. You know, it's a wouldn't happen thing. You know, there'd be no real reason for that to happen, but it could. It could, if that inspector was trained to carry out that level of interview, and if they were of a certain personality that wanted to sort of get up close and personal. Now, I'd never expect to see that in the real world, but fictionally, you could just kind of put some sort of factors within their character that would allow that inspector to, on the day of the interview, say, right, I'm going down, I'm going to do it because, you know, I want to look him in the eye and find out. And then that's your get out of jail free card. So there's the bending of the rules is essential, you know, otherwise you're, as I say, you're going to be writing a textbook.
Fascinating. And do you think that authors have a duty to represent the police with a certain level of reality? Can a great story ever make up for a far-fetched storyline, do you think?
I think there is a duty to the readers. I think there is a duty to the readers to create a credible world. So not having one chief constable investigating all the murders in the force and going out arresting everybody with a gun in their pocket. I mean that's just so ridiculous that you probably need to start that again. So I think there is a duty to the readers to make them sort of help them kind of buy into that. This could happen. This is okay. So they know what they're talking about. And I think it's about authenticity, plausibility, and credibility rather than reality necessarily. Realistic policing is really quite dull at times. Well, quite a lot of times it's dull. So it's those other three things: plausibility, credibility, and authenticity are what a writer should aspire to. Can a great story ever make up for a far-fetched storyline? Depends how far-fetched the storyline. But at the end of the day, if you can create the kind of scaffolding around that makes the policing and the procedure feel authentic in those circumstances, then yeah, absolutely. But I think it's one of those things that even if it's an excellent story, there's no reason not to get parts of it right, so that the reader go, okay, I can see that.
Yeah, that goes back a bit to what we said in Minisode 1, I think, wasn't it, about building that well and getting it right to start with, and then creating the story from there.
Yes, because it can only take one little thing that sort of trips a reader up, and the reader sort of questions it, and that can take them out of the story, can't it?
Yeah.
So I think that
I think that's a really important point about taking people out of the story, because they want to be there, don't they? Want a well-written story. They're kind of they're there, and then all of a sudden think, oh, hang on a minute. I'm sure that wouldn't happen, and then that's it. The magic's gone.
Does the genre make a difference? For example, does cozy crime get a sort of bigger pass to bend the rules, for instance, than say the grittier thrillers and police procedurals?
To a degree, I think if you're writing a procedural, you need to be. You need to get your procedure right, because that's where you're going to talk about it. I use a sort of phrase to people that you don't have to get it all right, but don't get it wrong. So what that means is that you don't have to go down into the depths of every procedure. But if you are, so if you've got an arrest scene, and you want to show the custody, they want to show them coming into the custody centre and being booked into the custody centre, and you want to kind of show that in quite a lot of detail, you need to know what you're talking about there. But if you've got an arrest scene and you want to, you want them arrested and then cut to the interview, then that's fine. You don't need to go into all the details. And cozy crime, is probably the extreme of that. And sometimes kind of the investigators themselves are not really investigators. I mean, you think of things like Grantchester and some the Richard Osman's books and Richard Cole's books that are out at the moment. They're not traditional investigators. But at the end of the day, the level of detail you go into is, or the level of detail you go into will determine how much you need to get it right. And if you're not going to go into a lot of procedural detail, then you don't need to worry too much.
That's such good advice, and that's also how I treat sex scenes as well. Like, I'm just going to skip over it. Like, it happened, it was there, but I'm moving on to the next thing. So
close the door.
I'm going to use that as an analogy.
But sadly, that's all we've got time for today. So thank you for listening to our Minisode with police advisor and author Graham Bartlett. And thank you, Graham, for sharing your expertise with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Graham. And if you haven't already listened, then do have a listen to Graham's full In Suspense interview on policing for authors, which is Series 6, Episode 7.
So that's it for now. It's goodbye from Graham. It's goodbye from Lauren, and it's goodbye from me. Bye.